First, what is the wind?
Wind is defined as moving air, especially a natural and perceptible movement of air parallel to or along the ground.
It is produced by the uneven heating of the Earth's surface. Since the Earth's surface is made up of various land and water formations, it absorbs the sun's radiation unevenly.
Good. But wind is not just moving air, but horizontally moving air. Also, two factors are necessary to specify wind: speed and direction. Before we learn what makes the wind blow, let's do a short activity. Place your palm in front of your mouth and exhale through your mouth. Can you feel the warm air? Now, purse your lips and blow through your mouth. What kind of air do you feel? Warm or cold?
Cold. It's because air cools as it expands. The air cools because as the space it occupies becomes larger, the air particles run less into each other and gives out less heat.
The same thing happens in Earth. Some parts of the Earth receive direct rays from the sun all year and are always warm. Other places receive indirect rays, so the climate is colder.
Warm air, which weighs less than cold air, rises, expands, and then cools. That cool air returns to fill in the place the warm air left. The movement of air is what makes the wind blow. It is called the convection currents.
Convection currents is when the air at the equator will rise upward toward the poles and circulate back to the equator, creating wind currents.
First, the Coriolis effect. It is a deflection of wind from the Earth's rotation. It is caused by the rotation of the Earth on its axis.
The effect is greater at the poles, greater with fast-moving objects like planes and rockets, and greater with objects traveling long distance like wind and ocean currents, although it doesn't depend on the direction of the object.
The spinning of the Earth on its axis affects the path of wind such that it deflects the air from the northern hemisphere to the right and the wind from the southern hemisphere to the left, depending on which pole you are looking at.
The Coriolis effect makes our high-pressure systems clockwise and the low-pressure systems counterclockwise. The clockwise motions are called anticyclonic, while the counterclockwise motions are called cyclonic.
Friction plays a big role in the Coriolis effect. Since the Coriolis is greater with faster moving objects, friction has a direct effect on the deflection of the wind currents. The Coriolis effect is greatest at high altitudes, where the wind is the greatest.
The greater the friction, the less the Coriolis effect affects the wind.
The last factor is the pressure gradient force. Pressure gradient is the change in pressure measured across a given distance. Pressure gradient force is the force that makes the air from high-pressure areas go to the low-pressure areas. It is the initial factor responsible for the movement of air. Hurricanes are large, very powerful storms with violent, whirling winds blowing at speeds of 120 kilometers per hour or more. The only difference between the three are their place of occurrence. In the Atlantic and Northeast Pacific, hurricane is used. In Northwest Pacific, it's called a typhoon, and cyclones in South Pacific and the Indian Ocean.
For these extremes to occur, a pre-existing weather disturbance, warm tropical oceans, moisture, and relatively light winds. If the right conditions persist long enough, they create the violent winds accompanied by the monstrous waves, rains, and floods.
Another is the tornado. Again, citing Steele, Morris, and Barber from 2009, tornadoes are violent storms, much smaller than hurricanes, but with even stronger whirling winds.
These natural disasters have really big consequences in humans. One is property damage. For example, in 1983, Hurricane Alicia struck the city of Galveston, Texas, incurring property damage of $2 billion.
Another one is the loss of life. The same hurricane mentioned earlier has caused the deaths of 21 people.
Movement is caused by the uneven radiation of the sun on the earth. Factors that affect the air are the Coriolis effect, friction, and the pressure gradient force. Extremes of the wind includes hurricanes, typhoons, and cyclones. And that's it. I hope you learned something from our little segment.